Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's live stream. How are you? And also, what are you grateful for? I was just thinking about how I'm always expressing gratitude, right? And I'm always telling you guys how important gratitude is in terms of really creating anything that you want in your life, and also whatever you give energy to grows. That's how powerful your mind is. And there's a lot of things in place that don't want you to know how powerful your mind is, but I promise you that. And I am so grateful to have my health. Hi, Bob. How are you? Like last week on Wednesday at this time, like just minutes before I was going to talk to you guys on live stream, I was like sweating and just like had a fever. And anyway, I'm glad I didn't cancel, but man, am I so happy to be healthy. I'm so grateful. So, what are you grateful for? Even if it's the fact that you can breathe. I'm doing good and I'm doing much better than last week. And I'm super grateful for that, Bob. Oh, so like I can't even tell you. That was freaking rough. I don't know what it was, if it was something connected to the lettuce stuff that was going on, but I don't want to experience that again. And so what are you guys grateful for? Like just really take a moment, because sometimes we get so caught up in what's not going right, what we need to fix, what we're being hard on ourselves about. But if you could really think about even just one thing that you were just so grateful for, I promise you that will grow, that energy will expand. Gratitude's a very expansive energy. So um, the positivity is strong today. Yes, it is. Yes. Especially because I feel alive. And unlike last Wednesday, waiting for it to pull up on my thing. But let me see. So I'm very excited to talk about borderline personality disorder in more depth, because I think a lot of times we focus on narcissistic personality disorder and sociopaths. A lot of people have questions about, because it's so, if you have been around one of these people, if they're your boss or family member, you've been in a relationship with them, it is so hard to wrap your mind around, so I get so many questions about that, and then how to get out of that abusive cycle so you don't attract another one of those relationships. I'm grateful for my wonderful girlfriend and caffeine. Nice. I know it does sound like you have a wonderful relationship, Bob, and that is so nice. And like I was saying in the last live stream, there is a direct correlation between the quality of your relationships and the quality of your health and everything else. Wealth, relationships with yourself and other relationships that you have, your career, even your spirituality or your connection to source, God, whatever you call it. So relationships are really important, and they're also a mirror. So the more you can look at yourself and do your inner work, the stronger your relationships get. So that's also a testament to the really good work that you've been doing. So bravo to that, Bob. And caffeine. I've been trying to get off of caffeine, but okay, back to borderline stuff. So a lot of times I think there's a misnomer that borderline and narcissistic personality disorder are so similar. And on the surface, especially if you don't know, a lot of the times they can present the same, especially when the borderline goes into what's called splitting, like the black and white thinking, and they might get dismissive. It could kind of have flavors of that, but the underlying structure is very different. And so, for instance, like with narcissistic personality disorder, their core fear is, don't expose me. Don't expose me for the piece of shit that I am, because I have so much shame and guilt. So I don't want anyone to see that. I want to be in this place of grandiosity. I want you to admire me. And then when you get too close to me, I'm going to use you to offload all of my guilt and shame, so I never have to experience it. You're the bad one. You're the one that all the things that I do, I'm going to accuse you of that. So it's this whole thing of never being exposed. And that's why a lot of them will be like, oh yeah, I didn't do that. They'll just act like they didn't do it, because it's too they can, they just don't want to metabolize that and look at themselves. So it would cause what's called narcissistic annihilation, where they would literally like blow up and get really upset. And, you know, you might have been around a narcissist when they do that. They don't like it. And then when you call them out on blowing up and getting upset, then that's another, so it causes this reaction that they don't like, and they have to go find new supply. So the narcissist is like, don't expose me. And the borderline, the underlying thing is, do not abandon me. And borderline people are very emotionally dysregulated. And that is why they're the most likely to seek therapy and have really good outcomes in therapy, because they're in so much pain. They're so uncomfortable that even when they go back and forth, and like I said before, they could get an addiction to being a victim and getting in these chaotic things like that. You can have an addiction to that, and they often do, but it becomes too painful. And not all of them, but a lot of them spend their lives doing their whole chaotic thing and splitting and never getting better. But there's a higher chance that they will seek therapy and actually improve to the point where they don't even qualify as borderline anymore. They don't have any of those symptoms anymore because they've worked on it so much. And through cognitive behavioral therapy, or a subsect of cognitive behavioral therapy called DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. I'm going to get more into what that means. But with borderline people, they're so dysregulated, like all of their emotions. Imagine like your emotional state just always being on 10 or always being on 20, when it usually only goes up to 10. So that, you know, like cartoon barometer where it's like all the way, it's constantly like that. And so everything is constantly a threat. And their attachment style is more of an anxious attachment. So I need to stay in contact with you. Are you going to leave me? There's not enough gifts or time or attention because there's this constant preoccupation with it. And so, and then often also borderline personalities, another hallmark characteristic is that they split. So they have very black and white thinking. So you either are the best person ever or you're demonic. And that could also change at any given time. And so the back and forth thinking about this is all good or all bad. And it's because they're not emotionally regulated enough to handle both. Like, you know, two things can exist at once, not to a borderline person. That's too much to handle. So it either has to be all good or all bad. That's what they have capacity for. It's like, you know, most people can eat potatoes and meat and some greens at a meal, but it's like they can only have one. That's all I can digest, you know, type of thing. So they put people in these categories. What's also fascinating is that they split with themselves. So instead of like, I'm sad, they're like, or like, I'm feeling sad, and knowing that emotions are energy in motion, they're like, I'm sad and I'm just depressed. And like, they just take on, like, becomes their identity. Or if they made a mistake, they're like, I'm a mistake. And it's like this whole thing that it's like a permanent part of who they are. And they're just like hate themselves, or they'll have a day where they're just like feeling themselves. And it's like, I'm awesome. So it's very like back and forth. And a lot of times it gets misdiagnosed as bipolar for that reason. And they often feel that way. Borderline people will say, oh my God, I feel so bipolar, because they experience like these just up and down emotions all the time. And it's a lot. But also I had a boss like this, and it was just fascinating to watch. It was actually at an internship when I was in grad school, but she was our supervisor for all the interns, and she was very borderline. And let's call her Judy because that was her name. But so Judy would, like, everyone either like loved her or hated her. And we'd have these inappropriate group intern things that was like group therapy, where borderline people have very interesting boundaries. They're like, I have to have strong boundaries. You're violating my boundaries, or they're very porous boundaries. So she had porous boundaries, and we were doing like inappropriate like group therapy. And so half of us really had problems with her, and she was very mean to half of us. And then the other half, they're like, oh my God, she's amazing. She's the best. She's doing all this stuff for me and writing these letters for, you know, my next job. And so they could even do that with people. And you'll see that like that with borderline people. Like, there are people that straight up hate them. I've told you I have a neighbor like that. And this woman, she either gets people to like do what she wants and people like love her, or there are people that are just like on the internet like fucking hating her. And so it's very extreme like that. So they do that internally to themselves. And then, but your internal state is reflected outward. Every relationship is a mirror. So that is very common for that to happen. I'm going to stop and read some of the comments, you guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, this relationship probably wouldn't have worked out a couple years ago. That's good awareness. Yeah, but you did the work and now you have an amazing relationship. There's lots of overlapping traits, but they've different qualities. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Forber Dorber, why don't people change the battery? Okay, that's dumb. A narcissist will never change the battery. Yeah, a lot of them, they don't want to. They have the ability, but they don't want to change. They would rather find new supply, which is why I say narcissism, it's such a lazy defense mechanism. It's like, really, you're not going to do any type of internal work and you're just going to find someone else until you burn everyone else out. Okay, have fun with that. Bob, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't bother them or they don't hear it. Can confirm drama addiction is legit. I've noticed a lot of other borderlines don't do therapy or actually do therapy or actually treat the disorder versus the symptoms. Yes, that's true. And I either really like, I even have that reaction. I love working with a borderline that's like really ready to go and is actually ready to heal because it's very satisfying work. But a lot of them just want validation. And a lot of them do this thing, which is another thing that they do, is they feign suicide. And so like the narcissist will just get upset and be like, fuck you, and do this. Like, but the borderline, and they do have experiences of like hating themselves so much and being deep in their drama addiction and being like, oh, I just want to end it all. But like a lot of them use the threatened suicide as a way to be like, stop calling me out of my shit. So I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill, like, and so it's like, they're not really suicidal, but they will do that for you to stop, attempting to get them to take accountability or even modify their behavior so they can stay deep in that victim state, so they can stay in that victim addiction. So I'm suicidal, I'm gonna kill myself. Okay, so don't, okay, baby me some more. I want to be a victim some more. Like it's, and like I don't know, because I think I'm really passionate about wanting to help people that want help. But like I think if you like fuck with my time like that, because I've done this with borderline people, I'm like, you're done. No, there's no second. No. And you're not getting a refund. You fuck with my time. I'm not. And now you're threatening suicide. Mm-mm. And when I have that, I mean, that's just like in my contract because, because it's just happened before. But I don't fuck around with that. I don't fuck around with, I'm only here for people that want help. So, if you are a practitioner or a therapist or any type of coach, it's important to be aware of those personality types. And a lot of times these personality types will go for people that aren't as experienced because they could fuck around with them more and push those boundaries and do all the things all over again. So just be aware of that. If you're a coach or, you might be working with one of these people. My cousin has BPD and he smokes a ton of meth and stole my, yeah, I mean, so there's a strong comorbidity. So two things happening at once with BPD, narcissists, like the cluster B personality disorders, and addiction. So because they're in so much pain or they don't want to take any responsibility for their behavior, they numb out with other behaviors. And people that are newly sober or have addiction issues, it's almost identical. A lot of the defense mechanisms, or it looks like narcissism, and it could be both, right? So those things go together. So treat the addiction and treat the personality disorder. And when you treat one starts to go away. And by the way, when I'm talking about treating an addiction, I don't mean abstinence from it. Abstinence from the thing, the alcohol, the drugs, or whatever, is the first step. If you don't treat the actual addictive feedback loop, you'll just be addicted to sex or something else, or chaotic relationships. And addicts will tell you that. They're like, oh, I just get high off of relationships and people, but I need more drama because it's not like that heroin high. People will tell you that all the time. And borderline personality disorders love the relationship hangover. Oh, like, oh my God, and then start it all over again once they get a little sober, And that's why like narcissists are very charismatic in the beginning and make you feel amazing and all the things like that they want to feel. But borderline people are fucking fun. They're fun in the beginning. And so that's what draws it. Like, and they're charismatic and things like that, but they're just like very fun. That's the biggest feedback that you get about them. And you feel kind of like alive. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing these things that just feel so fun. So that's another way they draw you in. Yeah, it is intense. And I hope that they're doing better. Open 4 lines of credit in their name. Now my grandpa lives with uncle and it's fucked. Well, okay, well, let's not enable that behavior. I mean, it's really so much easier these days to, find out like who started the identity fraud. And it's like, are you afraid? Is someone afraid to like get the cousin in trouble? I see that a lot in these family systems where the drug addict and the most problematic one continues to get enabled. Like all you have to do is call the police and he would be in jail. But why are you stopping the cousin from being in jail? Why are you continuing to enable the behavior? And I know it's painful. I have walked so many people through this process of stopping the enabling behavior with the family member, and you are like the cycle breaker because you are the one that is no longer available for that. And they will try everything. They'll use every type of burner phone. They'll call other people to call you to enable you in some type of way. They'll camp out on your fucking lawn. I've heard it all. So it's like, sorry, I have like a hair somewhere. But anyway, so it can be very intense, but it's a very profound experience for you to have boundaries. Because if you have that type of dynamic in your life, your boundaries somewhere are not great. And it's a really good opportunity for you to have that in place so you don't attract that enabling dynamic anymore. And every single person I've worked with and helped them get through that, it's very uncomfortable. You feel like you're going to have a panic attack and there's so much anxiety. But once they get over that and they're like, I will never be that person again that enables, gives the drug addict money or does all these things to just excuse their behavior, their boundaries are good, so their health gets better, of course, because they're not in this anxious state. They have more money. Their relationships get better because they're not attracting takers. Like from this, that feedback loop is broken, and everything gets so much better. So it's painful for a little bit, but it gets better. Hi, Big Pontiac. Sorry, let me pull up. Where did the comments go? Here we go. Okay. Hi, Fresh. I got misdiagnosed as bipolar when I was younger too. Yeah, it's a very miscommon diagnosis. You don't exist this intensely without making a couple enemies. Yeah, exactly. It happens. But, and those relationships can be repaired. We're always growing and evolving. The hard thing with borderline people, and narcissists try this too, it's just like easier to see through them, I think. But because borderline people are so emotional, they can very much be convincing that they've changed when they haven't. And I'm telling you, if you are into Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the main character in that reality show, Taylor Frankie Paul, her first name's Taylor, is exactly that. She's so addicted to drama. She's just this borderline, and she keeps saying, "Okay, I'm gonna not do this until I'm gonna go get help." And it's the cycle just continues. She doesn't really want help, and I wouldn't care as much as she's putting her kids in a lot of danger, and that's what scares me. Yeah, substances are the way to regulate bad method, but it works temporarily, like very temporarily. And it's not even, I think it's a false sense of it regulating you temporarily, but you're just not feeling anything. or you're just dissociated. So you're actually not regulated at all. You're just completely dissociated. You're not in your body. And I see this a lot with borderline people in like sex addiction. It's like they're just not in their body, and they're also getting a little bit of validation, and they're also probably stirring up some drama with a love triangle. So it's like actually making everything worse, but they experience it as regulating them a little bit. Same with narcissists, and then the things that the addictions that they have. And narcissists also use it for validation. Damn, she's describing me fresh. We need to talk. Let's see. Hi, Briana. Hey, it's me again. I'm the girl who has the emotionally abused parents and does poetry to cope. I remember you, Briana. How are you? Of course I remember you. How you doing? Yeah, how are you? Tell us how you are. Yeah, I'm fresh. What about you? I'm doing better. I'm 4 months clean. Nice, Briana. That is something to celebrate. I was just saying at the beginning of today, like of this live stream, like, what are you grateful for? That is amazing, Briana. 4 months clean. Like that, like everyone, round of applause for Briana. That's a big deal. And are you doing something to celebrate that? You know, we have to celebrate like every day, right? Every day. We're celebrating that, and maybe even every hour and every minute. So awesome, Briana. I love it. And you know, that's just leading to like sobriety is one of the most freaking spiritual things you can do. And I'm talking about whatever you are addicted to. And so it could be drama, it could be shopping, it could be, you know, and I'm talking about really getting to the nitty-gritty of the addiction feedback loop, because you could be addicted to being in debt or gambling or all of the things. You could be addicted to sadness and an emotion. And so really getting so freaking real with yourself and being like, okay, what addiction loop do I need to break that's making me dissociate or numb out or not show up for my purpose? Because addiction is the inability to handle the present moment for whatever reason, because your emotions are too intense, because I can't think about this past trauma that's still in my nervous system that wants to be released, whatever it is. Can you really be honest with yourself, and what is my addiction or addictions that are taking me out of the present moment? And I, you know, even with, you know, I was talking to a client earlier, being broke all the time, you can't be present because you're thinking about this and you're in this selfish kind of survival state. Being drunk, being on meth or in drugs, whatever it is, it's taking you out of the present moment. So I love that, Brianna. I love that you're clean, and I love that you're still doing poetry, because it's such, we talked about this, how that artistic, like taking that energy, because energy can't be created or destroyed, but can be transmuted. And some of the best art comes from that place of transmuting that pain energy into something artistic. Yes. Cheers, mate. Just letting my legs recover from the gym. Nice. Glad you went to the gym. That's a great way to regulate your nervous system. I've had luck repairing past hurts, only a couple people. It's better to leave alone. Yeah, exactly. I get that, Bob. Fresh, oof, leg day. Hey, hi, Miss Priya. How are you doing? Yeah, it puts the problem off for later. It's unhealthy. Yeah, again, about any type of numbing out behavior. Not really. My birthday is coming up August 2nd, turning 14. Nice. Love it. Happy birthday, Briana. Almost your birthday. Yes. I love that. And I love, like, whether you make a big deal of your birthday or not, I always think of your birthday, it's your new year. It's your new year. So it's like, unless you're born December 31st or January 1, like whatever, New Year's doesn't really mean much, right? And actually, back in the day, New Year's was April 1st, and then they changed it. And then to get everyone to gaslight everyone, that's where April Fool's comes from. It's like, oh, you still believe it's the new year, you fucking fool. So actually, and you know, and obviously every tradition, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but every tradition, Chinese New Year, Nerus, like all of these Easter, everything, the spring, that time is the new year for a reason. So that's actually the new year. So I was born in the new year. But anyway, I digress. Your birthday, whatever it is your new year. And I really think I'm always telling you guys at any moment you could be reborn. At any moment, like with every breath you take, you're a new person. So those are facts. I really mean that. Anytime you decide, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this, you're a new person. But I do think there's a significance to your personal new year. And it's a great way to celebrate yourself and reflect on like how far you've come, and like write yourself a thank you note and how awesome you are. And I just think it's a good time to have really good traditions around self-care and what you are intending for yourself for this next new year coming up. So I hope you do that, Briana, because you get to be celebrated. Miss Priya, I had saved a question about narcissist able to get you confused, kind of like interrogators. Yeah, I can go read it. Unless you want to copy and paste it here, I could look it up real quick. Let me just read these other ones. And then get you to give in, or try to get you to give in. No one can control or manipulate you. Honestly, I've forgotten my birthday a couple times. Oh my God, you're such a guy. You really forgot your birthday. I'm genuinely terrible with all of the holidays. I have all important birthdays in my phone calendar. Well, I hope yours is in there, Bob. I just think it's a good reminder, and really it's something that you could do at the beginning of every month, like set your intentions, celebrate your wins. And it's really this, I'm not trying to be like eat, pray, love, like whatever, but it's like really like, oh yeah, joy. Like I really mean it. If you were to take time at the end of every day and celebrate your wins, those things would grow in your life. And especially if you did that, if you did it every day, that would be freaking awesome. But if you did it every week, like Sunday on Soothing Sundays, I encourage you guys to do that, to celebrate your wins. And you can celebrate them now, halfway through the week tonight. And, or every month. It's just like these times where we can refresh. It's so important. And to, we're so hard on ourselves. It's like, give yourself a little bit of love. Yes, keep it to mental health. I'm here to provide a safe container for you guys to talk about your mental health, your healing journey, questions that you have about personality disorders. My dad made me cry the other night because the door was unlocked last night and he was blaming it on me. I didn't do it. So when I said I would take the blame because he wouldn't leave it alone, you don't have to take the blame. He got angry at me. It sounds like he's going to be angry no matter what. So if we stop enabling that behavior and draw a line, like, guess what? I'm not available for you to like discharge and barf your anger all over me. If you just start to and you could just do it by not saying anything, just not responding, because people like that. They just want a response. So if you don't give him one, he will take his anger somewhere else and not on you, because you don't have to be available for that. Here we go, Miss Priya. Thank you. I noticed manipulators of different types have a way of leaving you confused, where they hit you with gotchas and statements or other behaviors, and you can't respond fast enough and you are confused. So yeah, like again, like I say, Miss Priya, with a lot of the questions that you ask, it's like, why are we engaging with these people? And confusion is a very dark energy. Narcissists love confusion, I've noticed, and sociopaths love confusion also, because sociopaths they get pleasure out of torturing people. And confusion, like the brain wants to solve the problem, right? So it's a way to torture you. And so and make you feel some type of pain, whether it's emotional or psychological or physical, but confusion is an emotional and mental pain. So when you are noticing that, like if we could just, and we can go into some DBT right now. So the DBT, the first phase is just noticing what your experience is instead of getting right into it. It's like, oh, I'm confused. I'm going to over identify with my emotions and like fight back, be like, oh, let me create what I call and tell you guys about positive pattern disruption. So you're just going to pause and be the observer. Like you're watching your own movie instead of just being all in it, right? Because if it's your movie, you're the main character, you're the director, you get to decide, you're the script writer. So it's like, okay, this person's trying to confuse me. Do I want to go down this rabbit hole of being manipulated and triggered, or do I want to give my energy to something else? And really making that decision. I mean, we can get into all the reasons. The reasons are that they want to offload all of the confusion and shame and guilt, because if you're feeling confused, you probably feel like shit. And then that makes them happy. So why don't put yourself in a position where you're being supply for these people? You don't want to, you don't want to be a sucker like that, where you're just supply and entertainment for these people. Let them do that with someone else. So again, when that happens, Miss Priya, because you know enough now. I want you to be like this and then walk away like you're so fucking bored, because at this point it should be boring to you. You've got better things to do. You've got like a life to live and an amazing like goals to focus on, right? You don't have time for like low vibe people like that. So it's kind of like that's all I do with those type of people. I mean, and right now those people don't even fuck with me. But like when you're learning to change that behavior, completely disengage, like you're plugged, like someone unplugs you when they're doing that. It's like no reaction at all. Let me come down here. Let's see, where did I leave off? Yeah, it is frustrating. But he was going to hit me like discipline. I think this is another time for you to have boundaries around that, and not, so would he have hit you no matter what? And like you at this point, like you could report your dad for that, and like let him know. And I know that's scary to think about, and I know that you've maybe never had boundaries like that, but you get to let him know in every way you're not available for that anymore, Briana. Leo, this is about a relationship, the most beautiful and amazing relationship. Okay, Leo, let's keep it to mental health. Even though like I am a spiritual person, and but it's like preaching it is another thing. And by the way, like I do intersect, like kind of like that's why I like Jung so much, is like the intersection between psychology and spirituality. And I do think that our higher power gave us psychology to empower us. And so, but my channel isn't just about, oh, like pray about it. Like I think that our higher power knows the struggles that we're going through and then gives us agency. Even if it's like coming on this live stream and hearing a message, or opening up TikTok and hearing something that you needed to hear, because we have to come here. I believe that we have to come here and learn spiritual lessons and empower ourselves in ways, because maybe you come from a family, it's called transgenerational trauma, where certain trauma gets passed down and you enable bad behavior, you enable the narcissist, and it's like maybe it's your turn to be like, you know what, I'm stopping this family toxicity of abuse and narcissism and all of it. That was definitely my role in my family. Like I'm not doing this. Am I the crazy one? We're all just going to do whatever the narcissist says, and I'm not available to be abused for the rest of my life. Sorry. And it was not cute or pretty or easy. So please, I'm not coming across like it's like, oh yeah, just stop that. But the more and more you let your father and anyone else that is treating you poorly know that you're not available for that, the easier it gets. And I'm really sorry you're going through that, Briana. Um, uh, Let me see. That's frustrating. Okay. DBT is the best, LOL. Yes, it's so good. It's so clear and simple. So DBT is, of course, it's a really good way to regulate your nervous system. And the woman that invented it, she was like, traditional therapy isn't working. When someone's so dysregulated, you can't just talk about stuff because they're just so in it. It's not like, again, it's not like I made a mistake. It's like I am a mistake. It's not like, oh, I'm feeling sad. It's like I'm sad and I might be this way for the rest of my life. And then this person's going to abandon me. Like in that moment, it's so real. So DBT helps you regulate that. So of course, the first part is to just notice what's going on, right? So it's like, okay, I'm having that reaction. What am I believing that's not true? What is it here that I'm afraid of? And it's typically like with borderline, it's some type of abandonment, right? Even if they can't specifically identify that first, it really, the more and more you learn about yourself, you realize it's an abandonment thing. And it's like, okay, can I regulate myself? What can I do right now to regulate myself that is within me? So it's not anything outside of me. It's not drugs or alcohol or another person or getting this person to do, because none of that will ever be enough. And then learning and then just doing that more and more. And every time you engage in DBT, it gets easier. It's like you remember to do it. It's like you're creating a new neural pathway, and it's like it's a skill set that you're learning. Yeah, I mean, I think that we all have like similar spiritual, and it wouldn't matter if we didn't have same spiritual orientation. I do think that there's a place for it, but I'm just giving advice from a psychology perspective, which often does include a spiritual component to it for sure. But what I practice and help you guys with isn't just like, God will, there's other things. Although I am a huge proponent of surrendering things to God and the act of surrender in general. That's why I'm always talking about the book Letting Go. I think it's so wonderful. Hi, Jan K. Briana, Leah, I don't mean to be rude or anything, but Bob and the lady, I'm bad at remembering names. No, it's all good. Said to keep it about mental health. Again, I'm trying not to be rude. Let's keep it on topic. See, Briana, that was great. That was a great way to express your boundaries and show your another round of applause for Briana. That's awesome. Exactly. Don't worry, got it, Briana. Appreciate it though. Yeah. And Bob does have it, but I do like that practicing of, yeah, let's stay on topic. I hope that felt good, Briana. And Bob, thank you for holding it down. Thank you for keeping these streets on track and clean. Okay, Leo's in a timeout. Miss Priya, are we in a culture where people get kicked out of seeing kicked out? I don't know. I'm not in that reality of seeing people fail. I mean, some people, again, narcissists and sociopaths and people that have those defense mechanisms, they, again, like I was saying, they don't want to be exposed. Their biggest fear is don't expose me. So they want to make everyone else look like shit or like they failed. And with sociopaths, it's more like that person's in pain and that makes me gratified. That makes me feel good. That brings me pleasure that other person is in pain. But it's one of those things. It's like, if you're focusing on that, yeah, you're going to attract that into your reality. I don't believe that people are like that. I mean, I know that there are people in the world like that, but I'm not saying the world sucks this way, so I don't attract that into my life. Do you know what I'm saying? So I focus on the fact that my life is abundant and abundant in a joyful way, right? And I have an abundance of health and wealth and amazing friendships and so much joy in my life and like all of these wonderful things. Like I just went grocery shopping and like, you know, I have an abundance of eyelashes and like healthy food in the fridge, and like I'm focused on that, and that's what I have. Okay. So whatever you are focused on, you're going to get more of. That's why I'm saying use your mind to create what you want. And again, like Joe Dispenza is another good one about this. It's like your mind is like should be the slave to, you know, listen to your heart, like have your heart like emote whatever it is like that you want more of. What does health look like? What do amazing relationships look like? Feel into that and then direct your thoughts that way. So I'm not thinking about the world sucks and like all these people want to see me fail. I mean, there are people like that. They're insecure. They're not part of my reality. I mean, at most I help my clients deal with losers like that, but no. So that's my answer to that question. Like if you believe that your life is, or that your reality is like that, then it will be. I don't. Like, and by the way, Miss Priya, I want to see you win. I say that in a lot of my videos, and I say that a lot to you guys. I want to see you fucking win. I'm invested in whatever outcome that you really want. So you wouldn't have been attracted to my work or found my channel if somehow you didn't want that to be your primary reality of people that just provide a lot of support and are kind and want to see you win. So focus on that. How about that, Miss Priya? Bob, Leo, bro, if it comes up naturally here, we're for it, but you got to stop preaching. We're trying to have a discussion. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the grounding is invaluable for me. It really is. It really is. And just think about like, especially for someone that has like borderline defense mechanisms or is in that like hyper emotional state. Remember, it's like being on 10, like everything's on fire and everything is like reactive. It's like almost like having that disease or that illness where even like the touch of a blanket like feels like it feels like too much. It's like that emotionally, like everything is so like hurtful. And so imagine going to that and then going to just have things be normal, or like if you've been a really relaxing spa, you know, day, it's like that. When you really start to incorporate DBT, it's so regulating and relaxing and you feel like you have your life back. Hey Street Cat, how are you? Yes, gratitude makes the things that you want grow in your life. It's the most underrated thing, I'm telling you guys. Got you, happy to help. I think sometimes I give the religious people a little more wiggle room, LOL. Just and like I'm okay with that because it's like the thing is like when you start to really heal, there is like when you start to work on yourself, like everything is energy. So it's like I think of things in terms of energy, and there's a cross section between like I'm not really a religious person, but I do believe in Christ consciousness and what that means, and like the forgiveness and that everything is love, type of thing. But there is no way to not enter these higher states of consciousness without feeling closer to source or a higher power or what you call God, whatever you call it, because it's bringing you in alignment with that. And these lower states of consciousness are fear-based, and they are, you know, worshiping the problem and other things that keep you in a low frequency, right? And then you're easy to manipulate and control when you are in a fear-based state. So as you heal and as you elevate in consciousness and vibration, your baseline state goes from fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, like everyone else can heal except me, to anger. Anger kind of like moves you up like, fuck this, I'm not living like this anymore. Boom, I love it. Keep going though. So the anger kind of propels you into these other states out of apathy and out of the fear states. And then it's like, okay, I'm getting some hope. I have a win. Okay. And now I'm getting like beyond this neutral state. And now I'm like experiencing a little bit of love, a little bit of joy, a little bit of motivation around things, a little bit of ambition. Ambi means both. So you go back and forth. Ambition isn't just like full steam ahead. Like you vacillate between like two different states, and then you move up another level where it's like, no, I'm going to keep going. Like I know that. And when you know that, you start to understand that there's something outside of you, whether you call it a higher power or God, that is helping you. That is so real. But when you're in these lower states, you can't, that frequency is too high. So it's hard to feel it. But sometimes when we really hit rock bottom, when we surrender, we can, people have these experiences all the time where God kind of sweeps in and it's like, I didn't do anything, like something took over me and helped me out of this situation. So that can happen too. We have to be in this surrendered state where fear isn't the main vibration, because it will block everything else. So all I'm saying is like, as you heal, those things take over. And then, yeah, like I'm in a state where I still do the work. I still show up for myself. But a lot of times I'm just, hey, God, you got this. You like in 12-step, it's like, God, I can't, you can, I'm going to let you type of, like, that's the thing. And then in that last part is the thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to really surrender this. And all that means is I'm surrendering this. When you surrender something, you're literally moving out of the fear energy and you're creating space for what you want. So it's like saying things in a different way. It's like in English, this is a hand. In Spanish, this is mano, but we're saying the same thing. But this isn't what I would call a religious channel. But for me, spirituality, your connection with God and source are so interconnected to your healing, to your leveling up, to having whatever it is you want to be, do, or have, because those desires are placed in your heart by a higher power. They are meant for you to have. You're supposed to be a channel for them. So whatever that means to you, if you have a desire to start a YouTube channel about something, that's you're supposed to be a conduit for that. If you have some type of creative endeavor, Briana, with your poetry, you are a channel for that beautiful poetry. So that's my little speech about that. Okay. Gratitude is powerful. It just got annoying with him repeatedly doing something when we asked him not to. I've had friends that consistently cross boundaries. They were never truly friends. Yeah, exactly. Friends honor your boundaries. Friends, everyone makes mistakes, but it's like when you do something repeatedly and like you've asked them not to, even if they apologize, it's not an apology at all. One friend spread zip what you're about, buddy. Zip, what are you on about, buddy? Okay. But I think you were going to say one friend like spread a rumor. Briana, dang, that's awful. Yeah. And but you know what, Briana, the important part is like you identified that those aren't your friends, because when we identify what's not for us, then we can make space for what is. And we have to learn those lessons about, you know, people that aren't our real friends, and those lessons can be heartbreaking. I'm telling you, some of the friend breakups I have been worse than, you know, romantic relationships. I'm gonna drink some water. Hold on. Sorry, I just want to mute myself. I feel, oh my God, sometimes I'm looking back on it and I can hear my gulping when I drink water, and I'm horrified for you guys because I have misphonia where like things like that bother me. I'm not the ASMR girl, but anyway, but you know what, you're incorporating these lessons, Briana. That's what matters the most. And then you're creating space for healthy relationships when you don't accept poor behavior. If I can calm myself for enough time, I can work through whatever the problem is. That's why I love DBT. Exactly. Look, Ma, it's okay. Miss Priya, yes, I came to your show for solutions. My win for the week is increased awareness over and over of compulsive thoughts. I love that. Round of applause for Miss Priya. We love that. We love the awareness. So you're moving from just like reacting to things to being in the present moment and saying like, okay, here's that pattern again, and I can react to this differently. I have awareness of what's going on, and that's always the first step. is like that awareness piece. So I'm not blindly reacting to things. And in the past, maybe that reaction served you. Maybe you were when you were young and like you had to have that reaction right away for your safety and survival. You don't need it anymore, Miss Priya. Love it. Awesome job, Miss Priya. That is huge. It's psychology mixed with spirituality. Nothing wrong with that combo. Yeah, I kind of think that they go together. And again, that's what I like about like Carl Jung and like when he talks about the symbols like that anywhere in the world, no matter what language, we all have these certain symbols in our subconscious mind that mean certain things. And I really like learning about what's it called? The tree of life from the Kabbalah, however you say it, because those symbols exist everywhere, and you know they all mean different states of consciousness. And so, even though that's more on the spiritual side, like Jung talks about it from just elevating your consciousness, but all of these symbols exist in. It's like math, right? Like everywhere you go, math is the same. So human beings have certain symbols that connect with different states of consciousness, from like fear to love, authenticity, and joy. So they are interconnected. And again, like spirituality, meaning like just your connection with something greater than you. I'm not talking about religion. Even if you are religious, that's wonderful. I'm not talking about religion as much, because religion is more, you know, there's like more rules, and I think it's more politically motivated, in my opinion. But I'm talking about spirituality. Um, what's the cult? LOL. Please be respectful. Yes, be respectful. Real one is worth more. One real friend is worth more than 1,000 average. Hell yeah. You know, how I conceptualize things is, especially if you're an empath, or someone that's naturally generous, sometimes people will say, "Oh, she's my friend," or blah, blah, and I'm like, "You're not my friend." Like, I mean, I'm nice to you, or I've been nice to you, but are you my friend? No. Like, what I consider, so I consider like, so you have like your very inner circle, you're in the middle, and then you have your like ride or die inner circle people. And by the way, people can move in and out of, people go through things, so they're not always in your inner circle. But for the most part, and inner circle is small. It could be two other people. It doesn't have to be, but those are, you know, genuine people that you have a deep level of intimacy with, where you can be yourself. They're very supportive of you, and you can have honest, vulnerable conversations when you feel uncomfortable with something, or they feel uncomfortable with something. Like those type, that real like level of intimacy, that's your inner circle. And then there's another ring outside of that that are like good friends, and these other rings. So we don't have to just say like, again, like black and white thinking. Like we have, and then we have associates, and then we have people that we're friendly with, or that are coworkers, type of thing. So, but your energy, like I always tell you guys, is so precious. So I want you to give that friendship energy, or you know, any type of thing, your energy, just be selective about it. And the word trustworthy exists because they get to prove their worth, like through trusting you, like, or through you trusting them. So they can earn that. You know, sometimes when we are really desperate for love, or have some codependent stuff, or you know, if you've had some borderline tendencies, we just fall in love so quickly, and we want that connection, and we want, oh my god, and it's this need, this desire to and this kind of like desperation, I should say, because it's more fear based than a desire. Desire is a more elevated kind of God consciousness type of thing, but it's a desperation to be loved, to fill some trauma wound with a relationship that is only going to re-traumatize you. So we get into these intense things. So that's not what I mean by like inner circle. I mean people that have really earned that over time, and really can show up for you consistently, not when they need something, or when it's fun for a little bit and then it's all chaotic. No, they consistently show up for you. And the dynamic, for the most part, the baseline is peace. Um yes, universal language. Um The combination has worked well for me. I think you're right. That surrender part that typically goes with higher power is very freeing. It is. And then, going back to 12 steps, one of the things they're like that they say is that, they're not religious or whatever, even though they say God at the beginning, they just mean like higher power. But the basis of it, they're like, whether you believe whatever your higher power is, again, like if it's your cat or if it's something you call God or whatever you call your higher power, you have to surrender to it. That is where the healing comes from. In really every, I think, spiritual practice that is actually helping people. So not certain cults, like actually like helping people, like 12 step or anything like that. Anyway, I don't know, because I could say a lot about religions that aren't doing that, but it's about the surrender piece, which is hard for us to wrap our minds around. And it's very hard, especially if you come from trauma and you've had to be the parentified child and take care of everything. You're like, what do you mean I have to surrender? When God's never been here, all of a sudden God's going to show up for me and I get to surrender? Yeah, because you're at this higher level of consciousness where you can trust and really believe that God is going to help you out with anything and that you're not doing this alone. So anyway, that's another beautiful part of 12-step programs that I really like. And I really think everyone in the world could benefit from Al-Anon or ACA. Sometimes ACA meetings are harder to find, but you could go online and find one. But because ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunction, and Al-Anon, they're just about relationships. They're really just about how to have good relationships, and everyone could always be better at that. Hi, Joe. How are you? Hi, Joe Wolf. I keep my inner circle real small. Excellent idea, Bob. My best friend became my best friend when I was going through some crazy stuff. Tried to push him away, and he was so mad he punched me instead. Okay, well, and now you guys are friends. Maybe he just needed to like punch some sense into you, but I'm glad you could laugh about it. And those are good friends that when you try to push them away and they're like, you know what? No, I'm still going to be here for you because you need something and you're not giving it to yourself right now, but I can see that you need this. I love that. Briana, he proved his loyalty that day. Yes, he did. Briana says, wish I could say the same for my best friend. Haven't had one for 6 years, but that's okay, Briana. You could become your best friend. I've been there, and I had to become my own best friend. I had to really love myself. I had to be ride or die for myself because I put everyone's priorities ahead of mine. And it's like, no, I get to show up for myself. I get to wake up in the morning and focus on me and get my needs met first. And that's whatever that is, meditating, exercising. Then I can tend to everyone else. And when I did that, I was able to attract actual healthy relationships, for one. And then every part of my life got better. My business got better. My health got better. So Briana, maybe for you in your new year, the theme is you focusing on you and you becoming your own best friend. And I really mean that. Like when we can do that, I mean, sometimes I say that to my clients, they're like, that's so corny. I'm like, I don't care what it sounds like. It's the truth. You got to love yourself. And when you do, when you come across people that really fucking love themselves, they just vibe differently. They just totally hit different. Their energy is amazing. Like, so it's worth it. And they're just very like alluring and magnetic people. So that might be something to focus on, Briana. How's it going, Joe? Bob, Briana, they come and they go. Don't stress. Yes, you will find your people. The more you focus on you, like attracts like. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So like you focus on you and loving you the most you can, and I promise you it'll all work out. Joe, doing good. Just got home from work. Nice. Hope you had a good day at work. Hi, Steve. Just an attitude adjustment. Bob, I love that story LOL, he's a real one. He saw the fire and came to help. Yeah, I love it too. That's some ride or die energy. I love it. Yeah, let's keep politics out of it. Howdy, Steve. How are you? Briana says. I'm gonna let me know if you guys have any questions about mental health, relationships. I'm gonna look over here. Oops. Some notes. I think I went over everything. I'm looking up if there's anything I didn't cover. Yeah, I talked about the suicide thing. And both are true. Because they really do feel that way, borderline people, but oftentimes they will use it as a threat. And I just say, just back away from that. And then, yeah, the confusing part of like the idealization, devaluing, the motivation behind it is different. So narcissists do the idealization devaluing to get supply from you, to make themselves feel good or superior, or to make you feel like shit, to offload their guilt or shame. But borderline people do it to feel like loved and like, you're not going to abandon me, and like, if you're going to abandon me, then then you're not safe and I'm leaving, that type of thing. And they go back and forth. So, and they also, I forgot to say this part, they also vacillate between anxious attachment and what's called disorganized attachment, where they can be like the idealization devaluing. So they're just like all in, and I'm just like anxious when I'm not with you, and where are you, and that type of thing. To what looks like avoided attachment, where they're like, fuck you, fuck off, fucking hate you, blah blah blah, you're the, and then they get into this victim thing. You're this, you're that, excuse me, you did this to me. And then they're getting drunk off the victim thing. So you could see how the loop goes. And then they get like, kind of like really high off of that until they get like this emotional hangover. Then they start to feel bad. And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Can come back. And, and then it starts all over again. So, but it's really hard for them to hold two truths at once. So it's like, because in any relationship, someone's going to disappoint you, right? And so instead of being like, okay, I love this person and they disappointed me, it's like, you hate me and you're abandoning me and you're the devil, because, and they're really not. They're just being human. So I think I answered, I feel like there's, I think we went over everything. And hold on, let me see. I've always had a problem with body dysmorphia, but someone once told me that if someone doesn't want you for you, that's not the people, yes, you need in your life. And that changed me a little bit. Yes, exactly. Because, and with body dysmorphia, it's an attempt to not be in your body, to dissociate and not be in your body. So really the stuff underneath body dysmorphia, there's trauma there that gets to be addressed. First of all, realized, and like bring in awareness of, we don't have to re-traumatize ourselves. We just have to acknowledge that this is there and we can release it, and we could show ourselves that we're safe now. So, but yeah, no amount of changing your body in any type of way is going to make someone love you more, even though you may have got that messaging. Or if it's like, if my body's smaller, then I'll be loved or safe. That's not true. And there's no amount of any type of manipulation to your body that's going to change that. So that's good awareness, Briana. Wes, as a male childhood survivor of social construct of Me Too movement, my gender wasn't malleable. 3, Zootopia. I don't know what you're talking, or I don't know what you're trying to say. Facts, Briana. Everyone is attractive to someone too. Sometimes the thing you hate the most about yourself is something someone finds perfect. Exactly. That is very true. And also going back to, what I was saying earlier, Brianna, about loving yourself. When you do that, when you become someone that loves you, you you radiate differently, you just do. Like, it's this level of confidence. It's not arrogance, it's like true confidence that is very appealing. No matter what, gender you are, it's attractive, and like it's like sexually attractive, but it's also just, it's very magnetic and alluring when you like yourself. So all of a sudden you become more attractive. I mean, I know like a lot of times you hear guys talk about, oh yeah, there's so many hot girls, like, but it's like, can you be hot but also confident or also intelligent? Because, being classically attractive doesn't really do much, right? Especially I think nowadays, where it's, you could go to Turkey and, look like a model and just get all your fucking face done and whatever else. And so, everyone's starting to look the same in terms of, outward look. So it's like, what else? And like, I don't know, you just know those people that they just vibrate differently. They just have this energy about them that's so amazing, right? Like, I've actually heard this about, I personally don't think Brad Pitt is, I've never thought he was like attractive. If anything, like he's like the most attractive to me now, but I kind of like old dudes. But like people always say that he is so nice. Like, and I live in Southern California, so he's around a lot. And I just, throughout the years, people have always said he's so nice. And then that has made him like the hottest guy ever. And that's what I mean. There's just people that, and there's people that are classically attractive, but then you get to know them and they become very ugly. Right. So that energy is real, and people pick up on that. So again, it circles back to you loving yourself. Chats have been a little ADHD tonight. I'm here for it. I know. I feel like I had so much to say about everything. And then I took notes. But yeah, I went over everything with DBT. So the mindfulness, the awareness, creating that positive pause, and then, increasing your ability to tolerate stress. And then also kind of like the David and Goliath thing I was talking about before, like this big thing that you're making this big thing. It's not that big of a deal. And that just takes practice. Um, and, and also like grounding into your body, like Bob was talking about earlier. And you could do that. I really like doing that through breathing, because you have to breathe anyway. And I promise you, when you are emotionally dysregulated, you are not breathing. And sometimes your heart rate goes up like, hey, I'm over here. Please give me some oxygen, type of thing. So you have to breathe anyway. It's freaking free. You don't need meds, in my opinion. Not giving you medical advice, but, and if you can do it while you're driving, if you can do it all the time, it's so important. But also, like, you can rub your arm, and then you could even incorporate some inner child work into that. So like, let's say you're rubbing your arm, and then you can imagine your actual inner parents that are not your parents that traumatized you or whatever, but they're giving you a hug, or the 8-year-old that's traumatized right now, where this big reaction is coming from. You could give that inner child a hug. But sometimes the actual physical, like, of doing that to yourself or patting yourself on the back has been very helpful. So the grounding part of DBT is very different for everyone else. And people really like stretching, but when I teach it to people, I suggest it be something that you can do anywhere. So that's why breathing comes in, or tapping. You could tap, a lot of people know what that is. I mean, maybe if you're in a meeting or an airport, that's not the best thing. But I had a client that was arguing with me. She's like, I went to one of these retreat places that I can't remember. It's a popular one, but I don't like it. But you go to this retreat and then you feel like you're healed afterwards, and you're not at all. But it's kind of cult-like. But one of the things they do is they have you like hit a pillow. And I'm like, I'm not gonna, and she's like, no, let me explain to you because I learned this. And I'm like, bitch, what if you're having an outburst on an airplane? You're gonna start hitting a pillow with a bat? You think they're gonna let you bring a bat on the, no. And why are you teaching your nervous system to provoke violence, to like be violent towards a pillow with a bat? No. That's why it bothers me with some of these fucking retreats. But you want to do things that bring you to a baseline state of peace. So those grounding techniques, after you have the awareness, the second part of DBT is like doing the grounding techniques and whatever they are for you. I don't recommend eating. A lot of times people get into, compulsive behaviors around eating. You don't want to do, even though there's an argument for that. Some people like chew ice or put ice on their neck. You can start there, because it does work for putting ice here. Yeah. But yeah, you want to get back into your body because you're not in your body. Let's see. And then, yeah, I went over all this, having new boundaries around it. And then you're just practicing that, right? You're just practicing that over and over again and making the decision that you are no longer identified with these impulsive reactions to things. You could even say, like, name that person something else. I remember when Loretta used to act like that, and now I'm Lauren, and now I act like this. So, and I'm so glad that I'm emotionally regulated now. I'm very grateful for that. So, Briana, thank you so much. Have to go. Bye, Briana. Thank you. Thank you for all your feedback and happy birthday. Let's see. Like Keanu Reeves too. I'm straight, but he's a total stud. Yeah. Total. I love Keanu Reeves is a perfect example. Thank you, Bob. A lot of people say that about Keanu Reeves, who's also very spiritual. He's so grounded, and I have not met him, but a lot of people say the same thing about them, that he's such a nice guy. And he's like, it makes him more like, I don't really look at him and I'm like, wow, he's so hot. But like when you hear about how nice and like confident he is, becomes like so sexy. That's a great example. Hey, Bones. Bob, breathing and doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is a great combination. Yes. Just total distraction. But it is a distraction at first, but then it'll ground you into your body. And then when you start to do the breathing, and you could do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like pay attention to how your cheeks feel. Pay attention to how this space between your eyebrow feels. Pay attention to, you can always see your nose, but your eyes naturally bring it out of awareness because your brain's like, we need to focus on other things. Your nose isn't going anywhere, but it's like, oh, go ahead and look at your nose. How does my neck feel? Are my shoulders up here? Are they down here? Just dropping into doing a body scan. There's so many ways to ground. Yeah, awesome having you on, Briana. My parents pulled my ears. They didn't rub my arm. Okay, well, your inner parents that actually love you can rub your arm or give you a hug. And that version of you that got their ears pulled, you can go back and hug that version. Bones. Just hanging out, Bob. It's hot in San Diego. I'm in Orange County, and today it was like finally like 82 degrees. It's been cold here. Oh dang, I bet I'm dying. I know, Massachusetts has to be gangster. Damn. I know, summer's just getting started. Wait till next month. Yeah. Bob, have you heard of the frozen orange, Lauren? That one can be good for people who want to eat but don't want to do DBT. Yeah, I've heard of that. And then like the ice chewing. I think my misphonia like just is like with that, but like if it works for you, I just don't want it to turn into like a feedback loop thing around like food, like you're regulating with food or something outside of you. But in the very beginning, I'm okay with it. Bones, I'm supposed to move to Texas. You're going to move to Texas soon? Yeah, you will be. Wow, what's bringing you to Texas? That's cool. Bones, damn, Bob, I get it. It gets so damn hot there. Good luck. Hello from Vegas. Hi, Martin Love. Are you staying cool in Vegas? My favorite Reeves movie is Street Kings. Love that movie. I need to watch that one. Yes, I know. I can see my nose. Don't remind. It's just a way. Okay, you don't have to do that one. 82 is not cold. No, that's what I'm saying. Today it was finally like not cold. It was 82 degrees. It's like, oh, it's kind of summery, because it's been like overcast and like windy and cold. It's like weird. It's been a colder summer, but I'm sure that will shift. For us, it has. Martin, if I could only listen to one song for a year, if I could, I don't know. I'm not like that. I can't listen to one song. Bones, San Diego, been like 90s lately. Oh, wow. Bob, girlfriend's family is out there and it's way cheaper than here. Facts. I'm ready for a change of location. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Texas, like if I had to choose, I'd probably choose Texas. Although I had this joke. I was dating this guy who was living in Boston for a bit because his job moved him out there. And like, I'm telling you guys, I'm a Boston 10. Like, I've never been complimented so much in my life. Like, those people like thought I was hot. I was very excited about that. Like, I'm like a Southern California 6. I'm like a Boston fucking 11. Like, I'm not to flex, but like, but we were joking about it. We're like, why is everyone like complimenting? I don't know. Maybe they don't see like a lot of brown people. I don't know what it was. It was weird. But I've never been complimented so much in my life, but except for when I was in Boston. But I do like it's a good vibe in Texas. Like the people are friendly. There's a lot of good like energy there for the most part. It's 115 in Houston today. Yes. Yeah, and I think it's that humid heat. I can't remember if it's dry or humid heat. But it's okay. Like it'll be good. Like why not have that adventure? Move to Texas and see what happens. Martin Lev, no, not cool burning. Yeah. Um I'm thinking Yuma, I need a gun-friendly state into firearms. So yeah. Boston is great. Texas is too. Yeah, they have a lot of restrictions, Bones. Yeah, pretty restrictive. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different environment, but I don't know. I think it's fun to have adventures like that. And you'll never know where you're going to end up. Um, well, great questions, you guys. I think on Soothing Sundays, I'll do more DBT stuff because but the most important part of it to me, like the awareness and the grounding. If you just remember the awareness and the grounding piece, the other stuff will fall into place, but it breaks that feedback loop of like that impulsive, behavior and like being so controlled by your emotions. Your emotions are energy and motion. They flow through and in and out of you, and they're really just a GPS system. They're just informative, right? We are not our emotions. And so I know we all have this, but we can all get into when you're in a stressed state, we can all go into splitting. We're in black and white thinking, or we're like, fuck you, or just making. So it's like you don't have to be borderline to experience these things. And that's why I also like talking about it, because it's really it can be helpful to know. Like, and sometimes we're fine. And then when we get really stressed out, we could develop or like some of the borderline personality defense mechanisms could come up, or some of the narcissistic defense mechanisms. But even though in reality that's not who we are, when we're at a like very calm, peaceful baseline state, we don't act like that. So it's just good to have that awareness. And there's never enough techniques, right? Like I always want you guys to have a library of techniques. If you have my course on healing from toxic relationships, it's basically a large part of it is just a library of different neurological reprogramming tools, because at different times different things work for you. So it's just good to know as much as possible. um What do you see as being the biggest problem? Martin, why are you always trying to interview me? I don't see things as the biggest problem in my life, because if I see things as the biggest problem in my life, I'm making it more of a problem. I'm worshiping the problem and giving it more energy. I'm gonna start calling you Barbara Walters. Okay. Kidding. Zip is a big fan of Montana. I've always wanted to go to Montana. You have a good evening too. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up here. Martin interview when just getting to know you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I tell you guys like anecdotes about me when they're, when they relate to the topic. I just yeah, have a good night, Bones. I'm not trying to make it all about me, but yeah, so it's a little balance there. But anyway, excellent don't mistakenly anyway, excellent questions, you guys. There's a lot of different questions, but I don't mind that at all. If you want me to talk more about something on Sunday, I will. Again, I'll probably do more DPT. So, you know, maybe that will be the tool for the week on Sunday, because it's so, relatable. It's so, you can use it in so many different situations. So we'll do that. But yes, you have a good night too, Martin. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much again, Bob, for holding it down. I'm for the DBT stuff. Hell yeah. And thank you for all your input about the DBT stuff. It's like, it brings it to life when people talk about their own experiences with it, right? Because, that's why I bring up like client examples sometimes, but I love the input because it's so, it really, really demonstrates like, yeah, this shit is real. It really works. And you know how I am about meds and other things. You don't really need to do that. But if you just do the inner work, it's so freeing. It's so freaking freeing, you guys. So we'll talk more about that on Sunday. And any other questions you guys have? Excellent questions. Thank you again, Bob. And, if you have questions that you want to ask me and you want me to talk about on Sunday, you could DM me on Instagram or TikTok. Otherwise, I will see you. Which time? Oh, so on Sunday, it's 5 p.m. It's 5 p.m. Pacific. And then Wednesdays, it's 6 p.m. Pacific. So a little bit earlier on Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you guys there, okay? Thank you again, Bob. Thank you for all your questions. Love you guys. See you on Sunday.